Hey, what's going on, everyone? It is David Palmer, Leo King, and Rich Lopp here for the Awakening Experience. It's Aries season. We are here at the spring equinox. What is going on, Mr. Rich Lopp?
What's up, man?
How you doing, bro?
I feel that Aries energy, too.
Yeah.
Had an awesome time this weekend out watching the race.
I know.
Yeah, man, it was a blast. I mean, I don't know about anybody else, but usually I'm kind of preparing myself for like the changing of the season. It's like something I do every time a new season's coming, not just the season, but like a new sign is coming in.
Right.
I'm like, okay, all right, Virgo energy's coming in. Let me start harnessing this energy. But every time Aries season rolls around, it always catches me off guard. Like I think I'm preparing for it.
Right.
And then once it hits, it like, to me, Aries energy almost kind of feels like a panic attack. Do you get that at all?
I mean, usually, I don't know. I'm a zero Leo, so Aries season to me, it trines my sun. This is like normal, but this one, I'm not going to lie, doesn't feel so strong. It feels, of course, with the eclipses, but it feels with so much Pisces energy still trying to get, using as much energy now as we can to get to some sort of energy back, but it's hard with all the Pisces that's behind the sun technically. So usually to me, it always feels like, all right, get your fucking engine started. But right now it just feels like we need to jump the battery. Yeah. Pluto's in Aquarius. Like, you know, and anybody got any jumper cables, you know?
Yeah.
But I am excited for it. I do feel like things are coming into place, although at the same time as things are coming into place, it does feel like the matrix is shattering.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big thing about today that we want to talk about, because there's so many, gosh, you know, last week we were talking about how, whether it's the royal family or any of these things, now it's the space stuff, right? And especially we're going to be out there for that total solar eclipse. It's going to be out there in Bastrop, Texas with Team Light. Go to teamlightstore.com/events. We just got all the awesome plans of the event at the convention center that we got, and it's going to be awesome. And I don't know. A lot of people are being shown fear from the same media that pushed the fear on you about the eclipse, but also even the comet, or today an asteroid's going to hit Earth in over 100 years, and they're going to try and make sure that it doesn't hit us. It's like they're wanting people to manifest something to come down here, or even all this hype around the eclipse, like, oh, be careful, make sure you have enough food and water.
Yeah.
Like that, they've never done that on an eclipse before. And I feel like Rion said it to me best. He feels that anybody who's being called, this is like the higher beings, the higher forces that want to see who shows up in life and who's going to be afraid.
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel about that, but I agree with him on that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's running rampant, the fear. Like I saw a reel today, but actually it was right before I left to come here, where somebody literally said that the whole sun is going to be blocked off. There's going to be no sunlight or moonlight on the earth. And, you know, like basically was trying to tell everybody that the whole earth is going to be blocked from sunlight. And this is going to last for 72 hours.
Oh, I've been seeing that.
Yeah, and I'm like, what the hell? What do you think is happening here? You know, there's going to be a trail of darkness like this, but there's some people out there trying to push to make people think that the entire planet Earth is going to be blocked off from light for 72 hours. Is what they're trying to get people to believe. I'm like, dude, do people really believe this shit? What is the point of trying to scare the shit out of everybody? Telling everybody, don't travel for safety reasons, you know? And it's like, shit, you know that Texas is going to be fucking packed.
Yeah, and Oklahoma and all these other states. I think it's weird, though, because the people that are saying that are supposedly saying that they're truth channels, yet they're parroting what the media is saying.
Oh.
A fear, right? Like a fear. To me, it's like there's no difference whether you say prepare and have enough food and water because, you know, shit's going to go down by the eclipse, or, oh, it's going to be 3 days of darkness.
Yeah.
And these are the same accounts and stuff that are supposedly all about truth. Yet to me, it's like you guys are working hand in hand trying to do the same thing. And I think that's the discernment of the awakening experience is like, we've got to where there was a lot of people that seek truth and put truth out, but it's really easy to see, okay, like, are you going to tell people to be afraid to go do something that's spiritual, especially like an eclipse?
Yeah.
That's been around for fucking all of time. And no, the whole earth cannot be at shadow at the same time.
Right.
I mean, just look at how people are asleep on another side of the world as we're doing this right now, and it's dark for them. So it doesn't matter if you're a flat earth person or a round earth, like that's not going to happen. And I think that's what's hard is we're in a place now where the matrix is shattering. And so you see the matrix try to make people scared and want to manifest everything from calling the comet a devil comet that's coming with this eclipse to, oh yeah, an asteroid's going to come hit the earth eventually. Yeah. But that's like another, you know, prep for anything can come, and you need to put your trust into us to keep the matrix up, right? And I think then you see these truth communities who are, I think they've been piggybacking off some things and maybe get some things right. They're kind of shooting from the hip. They're not using the spiritual tools. So it's like they're running out of things to do. Like that's what I'm noticing is in a lot of the truth community, it's like they're running out of, well, we could call it content, right? Like they don't know what to do content wise anymore.
Yeah.
And so they're like actually not realizing it. It's just like how COVID was. It'd be like, be careful, there's a virus out there.
Yeah.
But this virus is going to cause 3 days of darkness, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, collectively, like we've talked about before, the most powerful force in this universe is the human emotion and belief system. So if they can get everybody, I think what they're doing is they're trying to collectively get everybody as scared as possible and just keep them in that fear, you know, because it's one thing after another. They'll run this fear-mongering story for a couple of weeks and then they'll move on to the next one. And because whenever they throw their little shit show that they're going to throw, they have to have everybody scared. Because the way the whole game works is they come in and they create a problem and get everybody scared to death, looking for a savior. Somebody come save me. Somebody come help me, please. And then they step in and say, hey, we've got the solution for you. Oh, thank you. You're here to save me. So I think that's what they're prepping us for. They're trying to get everybody so scared so that when shit starts hitting the fan and banks start collapsing and currency start crashing and whatnot, then they're going to be like, oh, here's your central bank digital currency. Here's the solution to your problem, so that everybody's already scared so that they'll just bow down and submit to anything that they try to get us to do. I think that's what we're being groomed for. Does that make sense?
It does. But I think what's even crazier about that is like, it's almost like they're going to lead people to someplace, but then there actually won't be the availability of the system to even work to where actually I think people are going to be more surprised. Like we're going into a world that the matrix is crumbling down to where it's going to be more, who are your friends? You know, do you know how to talk to this neighbor? You know, I was rewatching episodes of The Walking Dead. I never got to finish the last couple of seasons. And that show intrigued me because it was like, you know, they're zombie movies, right? But they always take place the day of the zombie infection and then the chaos. To me, that show was so great because it just went to the years. What is it, like 3 years after it? Like, you know, when civilization is just like gone, the cities are empty and people are now fighting over water and they're fighting over these weird things or just like stupid things they do to the other side, you know, that they're in competition with. That to me feels more realistic of like, oh my gosh, like they're going to try and use especially look at social media went down a couple weeks ago. The phones went down. Now food, right? McDonald's, or if you're in the UK today, I guess it's called Greg's. I guess that's like their fucking main.
Greg's?
It's called Greg's.
Oh, Greg's.
How British is that? Just like, it's not McDonald's, it's Greg's. It's like their whole system went down to all their restaurants, some IT fucking server, weird shit. It feels like they're doing like testing on all this shit. Then, of course, in Africa, all the cords of the internet under the ocean are having problems. So what I keep seeing is things, whether they're intentionally doing it, or it could be the other thing, the astrology saying that it's more likely that these dark forces can't keep up their fucking game plans anymore. And so it's all falling apart. All these people are dying in these families that have had all this reign and power forever. And if you look at that comment, it's weird. I showed you the picture. It's fucking got this swirl in it.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of like a whirlpool. It reminds me of a galaxy. It reminds me of, I don't know. It actually looks like something out of a fucking, Pfizer special. But it's so weird because in the omens that go back to astrologers of when you look at an eclipse, you base it off the tail. So if the tail is solid and strong, it's a good omen. If it's broken apart, it's a bad omen. Then it's coming with an eclipse. And it's got 3 tails right now. It's all broken apart and it's all fucking different, right? So this is something weird coming in.
Yeah.
And so even though I know people might feel like, oh, this is going to be bad, to me, I feel like it's the bad omen of those that are trying to hold up the matrix.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that includes the collective who become the agents of the matrix, right? That really it's the program. Oh, let me put the sunglasses on that I'm programmed and let me become exactly what you want me to be as a system to try and keep it up. That's what's happening right now is people are being used of like, keep up the system. Because it's like the fear of losing the system that people don't want to go through when really a better system can be made. I mean,
yeah. And I think another good sign, and to me, I think it's a good sign, is that here lately we were talking about this before we came on here. We've been noticing more and more Mandela effects.
Yeah.
Lately, because I don't know, maybe I was just kind of out of the loop for a little bit, but it seems like there for a little bit that kind of died down and kind of got quiet and people weren't talking about it that much. But for like the last 2 or 3 months, it's been really, really ramping up. And I think that is a very clear indication that either we're shifting dimensions again, possibly, or maybe we're getting to that nexus point timeline where all the timelines are piling on top of each other. Because one thing I think a lot of people have a hard time understanding, because anytime you mention the Mandela effect, it's going to be an argument. There's going to be people attacking you, telling you you're crazy and you're stupid and this and that. So some people are wondering why some people are experiencing the Mandela effect and some people are not. Because there are some people who swear up and down that it was always Berenstain Bears, and they remember it that way. Matter of fact, a lady on my Facebook posted a picture in the comments of her book from 1984 that said Berenstain Bears. So there's people that's like, no, it's always been that way. So why is that? Why do some people remember something different and some people don't? Because the people who don't remember anything different in the past, you have to understand, we shifted into a new dimension. They didn't. They've been in that dimension, this dimension we're in now, they've been here this whole time. We're the ones from a different dimension. If we remember something different, like the cornucopia in the fucking Fruit of the Loom emblem, we were the ones that were in a different dimension and came into a new dimension.
Yes.
And they've been here the whole time. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense almost as if like this might sound very controversial. Like I was in a huge car crash in 2020, blew up my car, was on fire, went unconscious. They said it was a Paul Walker moment, but I walked out of it. But I was unconscious for a couple minutes, 20 seconds. I don't know. It was enough to where I don't remember the car doing the full half of the other 180 of the 360 after I hit the tree at over 80 miles an hour. And didn't remember stopping and just woke up to the car on fire. And it was like, oh yeah, like, get out of the car. Like, like slopping, right? And then it was like 3 weeks later, I had this fucking finally like vision of like that I went back upstairs and made a deal as a light worker, like, all right, I guess I'll come back down here, but I want to renegotiate my terms.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And it almost feels like everybody, if they are awake, might have to look at their life and go, there probably was a moment since 2012 where you did leave and then you chose to come back in this different version of it all to help wake people up. Because that's how you wake yourself up to realize that you're in a different place. So it could be the inverse where we actually are not in the reality we ever were in.
Yeah.
We're the ones who jumped into the alternate universe.
Yeah, yeah. That's
to wake people up. But that's, I don't know how you feel about that.
No,
that's kind of crazy.
I totally understand where you're coming from, because for the life of me, I have been trying to remember. And now I don't have a really explicit, specific memory, but something deep down inside of me tells me that after my suicide attempt, I don't know if I was a walk-in or if I changed timelines or what happened, but not the suicide attempt I was revived from, because the first one I went to the lower astral realm and that was fucked up. But then the second one, I was like, okay, I'm going to get it right this time. So I planned it out so that there was no failing, and the damn belt broke. There's no way this belt could have broke. This was a big, thick, heavy duty belt, and the damn thing broke. And something in me tells me that I don't know if I was a walk-in. I don't think so. Or if maybe something similar to what you said happened. Something happened. And because I woke up from the most peaceful fucking sleep I've ever had in my life with my memory erased. My memory was completely erased. I woke up on the floor thinking that it was time for me to go to work, you know? And then the cops were beating the door down, and I'm like, what the hell is that banging noise? and I'm like, what am I doing on the floor? Dude, my memory was wiped. I had no clue.
Right.
So no, I totally understand what you're saying. And that kind of drives me nuts, because I'm trying to dig up the memory of what happened, you know? I don't know.
Maybe it's with you too. After that, connections that you had with people just are severed. Like it's like they don't come back into your life. It's like, it's almost kind of like two timelines, because we bring the other timeline. Like, just take, for example, like the vaccine thing. Like, I was shot up like a motherfucker. I was in the military, right? Nothing happened to me. Mm-hmm. Of course, I haven't gotten anything since then. I was 18. I'm going to be 40 in the next couple months. But there's something about where the reality where we were at, that really wasn't a big problem. Now, this one, it's almost kind of like the weird shit that there is problems with it. So it's like a weird, like where people are feeling like things are off. Why are certain, connections and chords you had just will never come back, won't ever come back ever, or every other sometimes connection can feel different or off. Memories, pictures, like what? Why I didn't remember the picture of my life looking like this. And I think that's what's making this the matrix breaking down, because maybe this is the universe with the swirling. When I see that comet picture, it's almost like two realities coming together. And this is that eclipse, and this is that fucking like X factor point that's about to hit of those two realities, whether they're combating for who's going to win, or it's all the timelines in one coming together, and all of our own unique multidimensional selves all meeting up in this reality at this one moment. The astrology would say that. And I think that's where it kind of gets weird, because it's like everybody's playing so many multidimensional selves of what feels right, what doesn't feel right. And that's why nothing feels together, because that would be the way you create a new reality, is combining all the timelines together to become one. That would feel like a new reality. So nothing feels normal, when really it's going to be normal, whatever this next couple of years we transmute the energy into. But that's where transmutation of a timeline is, I don't think has been done, except for maybe when civilizations fall and new ones begin. That might be the marker point. Like our civilization's at a point to where, look at the world, got all of it, what it needed out of it the way it was. And now it's a new way of doing things. And so I think people are freaked out because of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I've done enough research to conclude, and plus my own intuitive feeling has been telling me this anyway, is that, like I said, I am of the firm belief that we are being very strongly influenced by a force of light. But because since pretty much the beginning of this fucking Earth game, there's been the light against the dark.
Right.
The good ETs and the bad ETs, or the beings, or whatever you want to call them. And the bad, the dark, has always been about control and manipulation. The good is really, really big on you being able to make your own free will decision. So they're not going to come in and intervene, but they will do the best that they can to try to influence us. And like, for example, they can make a screenwriter in Hollywood have a dream about something to influence him to wake up and say, you know what, I got a good idea for a movie. And will he respond to that energetic influence? Maybe, maybe not. But this is the way they've been trying to push it in that direction, and trying to help influence people to wake up and open their own eyes, so that enough of us have to stand up before they will come in and intervene. They'll come in and intervene, but only after we stand up. They're not going to come in and save us.
No.
And that's kind of what we're going through right now. And I do believe, I'm not one of the people that says that it's all good or all bad, but I do think that the light has the upper hand, so we're going through a very controlled demolition. I know I've said this a lot, but a very controlled demolition, and it's going to be messy, man. It doesn't have to be this messy if people would wake up and understand how powerful they are, but they're not waking up quick enough. So unfortunately, it's going to be kind of messy, but.
Well, and it gets really messy when you have propped up situations that are facades that aren't real, that have these doorways that the dark isn't even here doing anything. They've just set up like these facades up, and then they just have like a black hole that people walk into. Even in all the media now, everything that you look at is just it's the oh my God, this is what's going to happen, and look at this, right? And it's like, well, all you have to do is just be like, yeah, I don't have to do that, and then everything else is fine. And really, the battles I think that people are fighting, maybe in the conscious community that are awake, are still our own subconscious battles of ourself, and the growing that still is going on the same timeline as this crazy timeline changing, meaning that we are still having to evolve as our own unique self and learn and grow and be in this spiritual experience. And I think that's what's making it hard for people, is now we're dealing with this whole reality fucking split. We're dealing with this 95% facade reality that is blocking the real reality, because it's really like the Matrix with the agents. I mean, that's the problem, is that when the populace becomes agents, where anybody can just easily just be like, they just throw out a story, they just throw out a fear, and then, I'll buy the fear, beep, beep, beep. Mm-hmm. That makes it to where the manifestation of the collective becomes hard to be in a frequency. And I mean, talk about a hard frequency to live in, is when it's a false frequency, and then it's a frequency that's actually counterintuitive to the natural balance of the universe. Mm-hmm. That's what I think's hard, is then it's like, okay, I'm dealing with that. And then I'm also dealing with, I'm still waking up that I'm a fucking soul that's unconscious here and subconsciously fucking dealing with this in myself. And Mm-hmm. So the work right now load is like, and I think that's the pressure. The pressure is, who's really going to keep doing the work? Because it's really easy to quit right now. It's super easy to just be like, you know what? I don't want to have to do this work anymore. I just want the easy ride. I just want this over. And that's what the dark wants, is you to tap out. Mm-hmm. And then the light's here, like, a boxing coach, like, fucking, come on, you got this, Rocky, right? Like, bringing a brisk iced tea.
Yeah.
And if that's a Mandela effect, I remember that.
Yeah.
It's brisk, you know?
Yep.
I don't even know if they make that shit anymore, but fucking.
I think so.
I remember that shit was popping back in the day.
Yeah.
But, that's the weird thing is you have to find other people that are cool with it. And I think that's where we're at too, is you can't just be alone online anymore. It can become very isolating. Like doing the event that we're going to go do, that's where we're going to be able to be around frequency and energy that's on the same wavelength and sending up the right energy. So instead of being afraid of they're warning you about the eclipse, somebody actually put in High Vibe a very interesting blog saying they thought that the government was going to experiment on unvaccinated people that are going to the eclipse with some sort of new direct energy weapon. And I was like, and I'm cool. I love that everybody have opinion on High Vibe, right? And at the same time, I was like, okay, if they do, whatever. Like the whole point is to not be afraid of the dark. I don't give a. Who's not to say they're not already doing that now?
Yeah.
Or what's in the food, or what's it, I just live my life to where I'm like, okay, if I'm not in any control of what can happen, right? Like with the shot, I had the ability to say yes or no to that because that's a fucking easy one.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to like your food, when it comes to all the things, when it comes to the stuff in the air that people freak out about, it's just like, I'm at a point where I'm like, it's like, you just like relax, like just show up where the universe is calling you.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah. That's a big piece of advice that I give so many clients. Because I would say probably a good 80% of the readings that I do for personal readings are for people who are dealing with situations that are completely out of their control. And one of the biggest pieces of advice that I give people, and this is a philosophy I've been living by since I was fucking homeless. If it's out of my control, it must be part of the plan.
Right.
Because people make the mistake of thinking that those of us who are awake and are good at manifesting and things like that, they think that we have something all figured out. Like we're logically, analytically figuring out how to do all this shit. And it's like, no, it's the opposite. I think I talked about this on a show before. It's the opposite. I have no fucking clue how it's going to happen or what's going to happen. All I know is that if there's something that I have no control of, I'm going to step back and be like, all right, then universe, dude, I don't know why you're doing this, but I'm trusting that you're going to show me one day. And if you can step back and relax, like you said, then that's when the universe picks you up and carries you through it. And then once it's all done, you look back and you're like, dude, that was fucking awesome.
Yeah. And I think part of manifestation that I see a lot lately having the hardest part, especially in the spiritual community, is receiving, including myself. Like receiving is not an easy task. It could be in a lot of different forms or fashion. We're easier in receiving here. Maybe we're not in this area. Right. So a part of it is learning to receive, like, okay, I've put this out to the universe, or I'm showing up to this place, and then the things will happen that are meant to happen. And that's where the secret door is open in the universe to give you everything that's special. Mm-hmm. It's not, as an astrologer, sure, I'm able to understand, okay, these are the time frames, these are the doorways, this is going to be the energy, and this is what to look out for. That kind of are, I would call them like, okay, this makes it a lot easier. It's the map. But you have to still go to the map, right? Like, you have to be in the universe too, or in the world is another way to look at it. There was a study that was done like a couple years ago about people in extreme sports and how their lives deal with fear much better, are actually much more chilled out about life, because they face their fear going into it. And being in extreme sports, I know, like, I don't even think about, will I die?
Yeah.
Like, I'm thinking about how fun taking the fucking turn at 84 miles an hour is, like, I don't know. And so I think that we're in a world where the safe zones for people, And that's what's kind of hard in the spiritual community is they always, you know, you were there at the race this weekend. I had fucking, it was what, 7 p.m. we were barbecuing and I turned my fucking speakers on. It wasn't like I had a full blast. I had half volume.
Yeah.
And we were just playing some songs and that guy came up to us and that felt like an agent to me, right? It was just like, hey, nice music. How's it going? I'm like, oh, it's going good. I don't even know who that guy was. It's going good. And he didn't say, turn down the music. He was just, and then he just stood there like watching me for like a minute. And then he goes, so like, you going to be doing this till like what, like 9 p.m.? I'm like, no, because I thought he was like trying to come to hang out.
Yeah.
Which I didn't have a problem, but I'm like, no, actually, I'm just barbecuing for 10 minutes, have some music on, and then we're going to go eat. And he's like, oh, well, yeah, because, you know, there's I have families. I have a 12-year-old kid. I thought it was funny. Your daughter's there. My daughter's there. Our wives are there. Like, what? We don't have a family going on over here either?
A 12-year-old and a baby.
Fucking crazy.
I thought he was a buddy of yours. That was interesting. I thought it was, oh, okay, this is one of David's friends or whatever. You know, if I would have heard him say that, I would have said, we have a 13-year-old and a baby in there.
I know. I mean, they weren't even able to hear it, probably.
Yeah.
Like, that's what was so crazy. I was like, but that's where I feel like when you try to take control of your reality too much like this, like, oh God, I can't handle this fucking music over there. I'm going to go over there and say something, but then I'm too afraid to say something right away and I'm going to act like your friend.
Yeah.
But then sit there and look weird and then be like, oh, and then also I'm assuming you're going until 9 p.m. I'm going? What do you mean? I have just music playing while I'm barbecuing, and then when I'm done barbecuing, I'm going to go. Yeah, because we got families over there. It's like, oh, I didn't know families didn't like music.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that you really want me to blast it? Like, that person had no idea I could have blasted them out. But it's just weird because I think that's where I don't know. It made me realize like that's kind of sad where people are at in their lives right now. They can't be okay with what's going on with other people and what people are just doing that's natural. And especially if it's like, we were having a good time.
Well, people don't like seeing you happy.
You know?
That's a big thing. People hate seeing you happy. And it's kind of heartbreaking when you see somebody from afar, from a distance, get so mad at somebody else's happiness. And the sad thing about that is they don't understand the negative shit they're manifesting for themselves. They don't understand that. They in their delusional mind think that by them casting hate at somebody for being happy, they're going to hurt that person and pull them down to their level. And it's like, no, you're not. You're just going to keep yourself trapped in anger and hate, you know?
Right.
And it's really sad seeing people get stuck in that trap. Sometimes I wonder if those, maybe like you said, it's an agent or a bot, an NPC, you know?
That's what an agent is to me, is somebody that comes in to a situation. And I think that's what we're going to see a lot of, more than you've ever seen in your life with Pluto and Aquarius in this Aries season now, is agents being identified very clearly. And it'll be people that, because I thought I knew the guy too. It was really weird because like I've been racing for 7 years, but it was weird because I did not know who that was. Right. And it was even weirder because then when I looked over, I don't know if you saw, it was like him with like 6 other dudes like hanging out like in the fire lane, like hanging out, like being buddies. Like I didn't see no kids. I didn't see no wives. Like I was like, the fuck is this all about? But also it's kind of where that kind of egoic, oh, I want to like see if I could just like disrupt this situation, or I don't even know. But I think that the agent thing is a really big thing to pay attention of, because now you're going to start to see people try and scare you from having a good time.
Yeah.
And so I know we worry so much about the world or what we see on the news or whatever. And it's like, that's just the most weak shit ever. Like that's, if you're so scared about that shit, well, good luck. To me, it's like that kind of shit, right? The people who come up to you and like that's, I think, it's not about fear, but to have an awareness of like, people are so concerned about every little crazy thing now, but they're not concerned about people trying to come in and disrupt your happiness or disrupt your manifestation. And, you know, that's why at the same time, it was one of those things to where it was like, I'm not going to fucking fight this guy over fucking music. Or that's why I didn't bring up that we had kids, right? Because it was just like, I don't want this guy to now be more involved into trying to do something. So sometimes it's better to just kind of Jedi mind trick him and just be like, yeah, no problem. And just not deal with it. But that's where I think we're going to see a lot of people start to pop out that you're like, what the fuck? Mm-hmm. Because when things start to get even tighter than they are, and it's fucking tight, like we're already as a collective insane, right? We're already in a fucking collective straitjacket over the last fucking 4 years. Now it just takes them to close the walls while you're in a straitjacket and to see how people react.
Yeah.
And I think that we have to remember that this is also just the matrix itself falling apart that people hold themselves on to so much. I mean, the fact like that we're going to see this eclipse go through America with a comet, with Chiron conjuncted, like this is going to be the collective having to face and identify where the wounds of humanity are. Like humanity is wounded. And a lot of it is like what's happening between people by, you know, trying to, you know, the fact that so many people try to say like, you should be wearing a mask, you should get the shot. That's one part of it. Now we're into other parts where people are like wearing Ukrainian flags. It was just announced today that Macron is about to send troops to Ukraine right after Putin said, oh, we'll use nuclear war if that happens, right? It's like, you can't control any of that shit, nor is, who knows if it's real. But the straitjacket feeling is going to, and the walls coming in are going to feel fucking gnarly. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, Aries in this eclipse deals with war. Unfortunately, a comet going through Aries with the solar eclipse deals with war. So, but it kind of reminds me of the spiritual, you know, I don't even like to call it a war, but like just the spiritual moment here of like where we're at with the matrix. And then whether you want to call that the real universe, to me, it's just like the natural universe. The natural universe is not so propped up with all of these predetermined ideas that are not following any natural, you know, divinity at all. It's just like everything right now feels off because the big reflection is the collective has to look at itself. Like it's not these people doing it. It's people have to look at the collective of like, why are you still falling for this?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why? Like, why are you still being this kind of a person who's attached to your MSNBC and your Fox News? Mm-hmm. Like, why are you so still attached to, you know, your European Union? You know, why are you still so attached to this and this and this and this and this? Because that's where it comes out. It's like, it's all like weird signaling now. It's like, obviously that guy saw my fuck Biden stickers on my jet skis. Maybe that guy was a Biden supporter, you know?
Yeah. Well, the thing that people are starting to understand now, and you can see it if you pay attention to humanity, is that, like you were saying, agents disrupting your happiness. And the truth of the matter is they can't disrupt your happiness.
Right.
The only thing they can do is trigger you to disrupt your own happiness if you let them.
Yeah.
If they try to come and come down on you and throw some hate at you, that can't do anything to you unless you give yourself permission to respond to that. When somebody throws energy at you, all you got to do is duck and let it fly over your head. And people are starting to learn that now. People are starting to understand that you can't actually hurt me. If you throw something at me, all I got to do is not catch it. We've been so conditioned that if somebody throws hate at you, catch it and throw it back.
Right.
And that's been the unconscious shadow that we've been in for so many decades. That's the reason why we've been in so many wars. That's why there's so much conflict all the time. That's why everybody's always bitching and arguing at each other. Because I throw some hate at you and you catch it and throw it back. And now we're, you know, and then we agree to that frequency. But now people are starting to get more control over their own mind. are starting to understand that, oh, I have to choose to participate in this fear or this anger or this hate or this bullshit. So we're starting to awaken, and more people are tapping out of that and saying, no, I'm not going to let you disrupt my happiness. I'm going to choose to be happy. If the news is putting out something scary, oh, well, I'm going to turn it off. I'm not going to watch it. And you know.
Well, and I believe in the trickle down theory. So I think that the news and the media it's trickling down to, like, when I was going to bars and shit, this is my 9th year being sober off alcohol. Gosh, I don't know how many times, you know, you're at a bar, you think everything's going good, and when you involve yourself in an environment full of alcohol and all that shit, guess what happens? There's always going to be somebody that comes up and says something to you, and you try to be like, well, I don't want to catch that ball that they're throwing at me, right?
Yeah.
But if then one of your buddies does, or some girl gets fucking drunk and fucking does some crazy shit, some dude gets drunk and fucking goes crazy, or you see some relationship just start screaming at each other, right? Like, it's like people, I think, or Coachella is coming up, for example. I'm just like thinking, I'm like, wow, that was built upon independent music and not about what you wore. But people are still going in the craziest numbers. I just saw an ad today too. It was like by a firm mixed with Amazon. It was like, we know times are tough, so we can help you for your Coachella, whether it's to buy tickets off other sites with a firm or to just buy your fashion for it. So it's like, people need to start waking up to, like, there are zones where the dark loves to infiltrate. And it's not the spiritual, the spiritual stuff. Sure, they might send some fucking people, souls or whatever, to fucking try and disrupt. And like in those situations, when you're surrounded by a bunch of people that are awake, it's very easy to just be like, yeah, it's just like, let this person, like, go do whatever they got to do. Like, get them, you know. But when you're in an environment like Coachella and the music is fucking bad, and then the people are going there for their ego, because now we have to pay attention to, and I know ego has been something that I've been upset because, like, they're throwing the word narcissism. That's a personality disorder, right? People aren't like saying it's a personality disorder. They're just using the term narcissism, right? Or ego. And really, it's been a time of the last, especially 4 years, where, to be honest with you, it wasn't ego of people who didn't want to get the shot. That was protection. Like, that was being smart. But now we're about to see, like, the ego come out, and the ego is going to be like, well, it's been rough, so I want to feel better. And instead of, like, doing it in a way of, like, you know, compassionate, loving, and enjoyment, it's going to be more like, no, I want this. I want to prove this. I want to do this. I want to showcase who I am. And a bunch of people are going to get their ass humbled with Chiron. It's the asteroid of, like, getting your ass humbled massively. And so I've been telling everybody on my horoscopes this week and for what's coming is, like, go for the shit you want in your life in the most humble manner possible, because this is not going to be a time to try and flex. And to me, I think of, when people think of events, I don't know why Coachella is coming up, but there's something going to be at this Coachella that's not going to turn out positive. Like, and it might not be like some bad thing like everybody always thinks, but just like some star or some person doing something that's just like, really? And you know, that's what we have to start paying attention to, is like, in the collective, it's not also about bashing them. It's much more about, like, just like, okay, I'm just not going to follow that. Or, you know, the fact of, like, who do you, Aries is also interesting because it has leadership. So who are going to be the leaders now? And with Chiron here, it's the healers, the ones that guide and teach. But that's not cool to the young generation, right? It's like, no, I want to see whatever's popping and what looks cool and looks fresh and easy and makes me feel good fast. I saw another article today saying that the babysitter's dead, meaning this is the first time in what we know as our Western culture that teenagers don't watch kids anymore because the parents are more concerned of the teenager doing something crazy than the fucking adolescent.
Oh shit. Wow.
Think about that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this next generation coming in is, oh man. Now, if you notice, if you pay attention, there's a pattern with humanity. Every generation bitches about the past generation. Every time. I mean, this goes back, I can remember, back when my grandparents were kids, you know. They bitched about the next generation coming in, and then that generation bitched about the next generation coming in. But the interesting thing that I find with that is that the newer generations, yeah, they're going to go through some fucked up crazy shit, but they're learning from that. All the crazy, stupid, insane, ridiculous shit that the young generations are doing today, that's going to be a very short-lived, temporary little phase of their life, and that's going to generate so much fucking wisdom by the time they're our age. Because you think we all go through that. We're young, we do dumbass shit, and then we learn from it, and then we're wiser than the previous generation once we, get through our stupid shit. Well, if you take a look at the fucking stupid, insane shit the young generations are doing today, how wise do you think they're going to be whenever they wise up out of that? They're going to bring a level of wisdom to the planet that probably surpasses anything that any of us ever dreamed of. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, I was because I'm an astrologer and generations are based off your Pluto. So you go back to Pluto's 248 years. This Gen Z generation is Pluto Sag, and the last Pluto Sag generation was the one that fought the Revolutionary War. They didn't know where they were going. They didn't know what life was about. So the only thing to do was to go fight in the war. Mm. And you kind of look at the way that things are set up right now. It's like they don't know where to go. But it's weird because they also are in the Matrix more than anybody else. Like if the whole Matrix fell right now, but we still had to use a cell phone, even though maybe it would just be to pop up a song or something. I could go take an iPhone fucking charger and hook it up to a battery in 1 minute. Like just a car battery or even a fucking 9-volt battery. I could just splice the wires and just do that. But a fucking Gen Zer would fucking have a panic attack. Mm-hmm. So, but that's going to be the lessons learned is like their experience of the Matrix cracking is like, I'm in the backseat of a car without a screen. Right? I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to be in the back seat. I don't know how to do this whole, we need to talk and hang out without my phone.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't know how to read and find pleasure in that or research or look up the directions of how to do something. And that's the growing experience. That George Washington had a very fucking difficult time with that young generation that we all deal with today with all the soldiers. He had to fucking mandate an order to have them all read Thomas Paine's pamphlets about understanding freedom and liberty, but also about that these are the times that try men's souls. He forced them to read that because they just didn't understand what was going on. Like that young generation during 1776 into 1781 during the Revolutionary War, they did not understand what was even going on. They didn't understand politics. They didn't understand the 13 colonies, and they didn't understand the taxation without representation. And this young generation doesn't understand that either. Mm-hmm. They're willing to go work 2 to 3 horrible jobs, right? To them, it's like, as long as I have the right iPhone and enough people are seeing my depressed life, because really a lot of the data of the Gen Z is like how much they want to get attention through social media of like, I'm not happy. Right. So they put the most pictures of like showing them sad or stories that say I'm not in a good mood. They don't know how to communicate that to like people in person. And so that's what's to me the interesting lesson to get into your thing is like, yeah, they're going to grow and be wise of like, why? Because they're going to have to go into the world we lived in and they don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
Every young kid, they say they carry their phone on them. Like that's their best friend. Like, or that they would freak out. I can't get a hold of my best friends. I remember having to be like, I got to wait till I get home into a phone. The pay phone here is shitty.
Yeah.
My dad I figured out his calling card and changed the fucking pin.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, my buddy's mom's not going to pick up my 1-800-collect call unless maybe I was in jail.
Yeah.
And you just had to wait, and you had to learn, like, all right, I'm going to go play fucking cards with my parents, or I'm going to go fucking walk with my brother and fucking see what the fuck's happening on the other side of this place. But kids today don't even do that anymore. They're just like, I need to have my phone. And that's the Matrix right there. Like, it's kind of like the tentacles of the Matrix, like pulling the generation in. I do feel that the light's happening, although the light's going to cut that shit off. Yeah. Obviously, with all the weird shit going on right now, TikTok ban, all these kind of things, like the Matrix is shutting itself down from those old things. It's like how MySpace fell. I think those are all going to fall, and it's all going to be a new AI VR world. And that's going to be a whole new look for people of how you access the internet. And it's going to be one of those things to where you go, okay, I'm out and I'm out. But when I go back in, that's like the Matrix, right? Like plug, okay, we're in, we're only in to do this. And once we're out, unplug my ass. It's kind of weird because that's what it's turning into.
Yeah.
I
mean, like I said, that scares me. I'm going to be rebellious, and I'm going to absolutely refuse to buy a VR headset until it gets to the point where, like, I fucking have to. Then we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But I'm going to refuse that. I don't know if that's the right move to make or the wrong move to make, but I could so see, and I know it kind of sounds like I'm going out on a limb, but I'm really not. I'm being dead fucking serious. It would be nothing for them to put a VR headset on you and wipe your fucking memory clean. It'd be nothing. They could probably do it with a direct energy weapon. They could probably give you a cocktail of drugs that put that mask on you, wipe your memory clean, and then the next thing you know, that's your existence. And the creative power of your fucking imagination will create that, and then now we're co-creating a new Matrix inside there.
Right.
Like we're doing right now. I think that's what we're already doing. I think that, this avatar body right here is something that, my higher self fucking put a mask on or got in a pod or something like that, and my memory was wiped, and here I am, and I think that they're pushing to do that again. And I think, mark my word, there will be some people in the next 10 years or so get stuck in one of those fucking VR worlds. I think that'll be a thing. I don't know how big of a thing it'll be. Hopefully it's not too big, but I think that that's probably going to be something that we have to worry about in the next 5 or 10 years.
I mean, yeah, even OpenAI just came out and said, like, if you're not on the understanding of how just the basics of AI works and how GPTs work and how all of it, like business, I got a letter from Stripe saying the same thing. Like, it was their 2024 letter. It just came through to all Stripe holders that have accounts that do a certain amount of revenue. And it was like, congratulations for continuing to make it this far, showing that venture capital is down the lowest it's been, but how people are skyrocketing in the AI sector, right? Because they understand the tools. Like, basically, if you understand the tools, that's why I'm not afraid of AI, is because, like, I'll be able to create an avatar like I'm in it. And if the system was like that, make it think that I'm in there when I'm not. Right? So it's like one of those things that's kind of weird now where, we talk about financial freedom. What if it's because of AI and robotics doing all the shit?
Well, yeah, I think that is going to be a part of society.
Like that's where it gets a little like, it's almost like they're kind of shutting down the social media thing in order to put you into more of a real world metaverse thing where, it's kind of weird because if you watch Ready Player One, like when he gets asked, like there's this whole battle going on in that movie for trying to find the 3 keys. And so a corporation wants to take control of the company because that's what you win, is like the control of the whole metaverse of this crazy world thing. Forgot what it was called, but long story short, they offered the guy who got the first key, he was just a normal guy living in a fucking shit shitty place in Ohio, like everything that he wanted, and he was nervous. He had an emotional blocking to show program built into his VR. So he was scared, but he couldn't show that to the CEO. Like, people have to start thinking that's kind of the world we're moving into, is like, and how many people are so afraid to show who they are on the internet already.
Yeah.
It's going to put people into kind of like a crazy place. Like my new Apple Vision Pro already, even though it's not the best, you know, it's taking my facial scans and all that, and it shows who I am. It looks pretty fucking real. It doesn't look maybe like the most real, but it's like I put out my tongue, my teeth. It's fucking me. And so people are going to have to actually like show themselves. And that to me is a light worker thing. Like, show yourself, show your soul, but you know, the number one thing, it's always a trigger to people. They're so afraid they put fucking other people's artwork as their fucking picture. Right? Where I don't think we're going to live in a world where you could just be the avatar you want to be. It'll be like, oh, here's the avatar I want to be, but you're going to be able to in the future be like, who are you really? And just click the new verification will be like, here's who you really are. So, you know, if you look like Jabba the Hutt, you are Jabba the Hutt. You know what I mean? Like, hello. And you're not the pretty girl that you're trying to look like in the VR.
Yeah.
And to me, that's a good thing. But some people look at it as like, oh God, that's going to be horrible, and they're going to infringe on privacy. It's like, they already are in all of our
Yeah. You ain't hiding.
shit.
You ain't hiding. That's why I've never understood, you know, people, they get so damn scared about the government spying on you. They put tape on their damn cameras and shit. I'm like, what do you think you're hiding from? You know, they have had in every store and every street corner, they have facial recognition. They know where you are. If they wanted to, trust me, you're not fucking important enough. I don't care who you are. But if they wanted to, they could beam a fucking satellite from outer space down and pinpoint where you are right now and count the fucking hairs on your head.
Right.
Easily. You ain't hiding from this shit. They know where you are. They know your name. They know what your voice sounds like. They probably know how many shits you take a day. You know, so at the end of the day, who cares? I don't care. People say, well, but don't download that app. They're going to spy on you. I'm like, fucking spy on me then. If you want to spy on me and you want to sit around and stalk me and watch what I'm doing all day, I feel sorry for you. I'm a boring motherfucker.
Right.
You got to let go of that fear. Everybody has to let go of that fear. And getting out of that, wanting to, you know, use filters on all their pictures, and like you said, like you go to somebody's Facebook profile and you click profile pictures. They don't have one single picture of their face.
I know.
Like, what the fuck?
Or it's just their face from up high, so they don't show their body. That's a pretty clear indication you have a low self-worth.
Yeah.
Which that's where self-worth, I think, is a big part of this moment, is like those who have the self-confidence, not an egoic, a confidence of who you are because of accepting of who you are and appreciation of who you are going to thrive through these times. Because I think that's where they're doing everything now, is like, you look at everything from the trans movement. It's like, I'm not happy with who I am, and then I'm not happy how I am now. Right? It's like, oh, it's like they're creating all the doorways for the unhappy people to go, hey, you can be happier over here. You could be happier over there. Mm-hmm. You could be happier over here. And it's like, no, that's not going to bring you happiness. Like, that so much of this world is like accepting who you are and just appreciating who you are and just being who you are. But a lot of people are terrified of that. And so I think that all the scariest stuff in the world is not what we're seeing on the media. It's more of the way the collective is afraid of its own self. It's afraid of its own value in its own self. Because underneath what we see in the truth community is many individuals hiding who they are, many individuals terrified of who they are, many individuals terrified to be what they really want to be. And so, you know, or following that's the problem with Pluto and Aquarius now, is it's like, really the truth that's going to be harsh is how many people are followers. Yeah. Like, oh, I'm just doing this because this is trendy or this is cool. And it's like, that ain't going to give you shit. I mean, I hate to say it, but, you know, like, what used to be cool and trendy, if it's cool and trendy, I would say no.
Yeah.
You know, it's an automatic no.
Yeah. That is going to be a big pill to swallow. We have to get people out of fear of public perception. We have to get people out of that, because that's another thing that the dark has used for so many decades is shaming and slandering. So, you know, everybody is so afraid. Oh my God, I don't want people to think that I'm an asshole. I don't want people to think that I'm a racist. I don't want people to think I'm a homophobe. And they got to get out of that. You got to get out of that. You are never, ever, ever, ever going to get to a point where everybody likes you. Ever.
It's impossible.
It's impossible. Completely.
Even for Steve Harvey.
Yeah. It's completely impossible. So it's like you're fighting a losing battle. You're never going to get there. So you have no idea how liberating it is when you just be you 100%. And yes, people are going to hate you. Get over it. But yes, people are going to love you too. So that's how you know who your real people are.
Right.
Because if you're being 100% you unapologetically, then you know that the people who are in your circle are your fucking people. You know? I mean,
yeah, like I'm not going to be surprised if by the end of the year they make Hunter Biden a superstar, right? Because he was so real with his crack and with his teeth and veneers and fucking, you know, like, and then kids are going to be like, yeah, Hunter's the man. I'll be like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Like, that's how weird the world's going to go. Like, I wouldn't be surprised about that. They're like setting that kind of shit up. Like, he's a rebel. Right? It's like, wait, what? Oh, okay. And that's where we're at a really weird moment here where everything that's being propped up that has this kind of trend to it is because people are afraid to be who they really are. And like you said, they're afraid to come across a certain way when the truth is people only like people who don't come across. They just are. It's transparent. It's just real. And that's the thing that's slipping from our reality and why it doesn't feel real is a collective that won't be real.
Yeah.
If a collective can't be real, well, then the reality isn't real. Right? So it's like, then they lie to you all over the place. They lie to you on TV and you still are fucking buying that lie. Well, then that's the collective is a lie. Or the people are a lie. It's not, and what's crazy is, especially when the lie is a TV projected AI fucking show. So they buy a lie, they continue the lie, and then there's nothing real that's selling the lie. And I think that's still the big wake up is like how much of it is just like literally not even real. It's a show. And this moment right now, I think with the eclipse even, is that real? Is that a real picture? I think that it is. I mean, there's some independent people who are taking pictures of it. But that's kind of where it's at, is it's like we're at a place to where fucking comets are swirling. Right? Like, and that's to where it kind of feels like there's this dual reality kind of spinning into itself of the reality and then this fake reality. We also, you know, we're being conditioned to look at all these other things while forgetting what's happened to the collective already and the experiments done on it. So they've already green lighted experiment on humans like crazy. Mm-hmm. They want to be experimented on.
Yeah.
Right. So the next experiments are going to be more sociological, visual, alien, whatever the fuck they're going to try and do. I feel like this comet and this solar eclipse is trying to wake people up to it, but already people are falling for it, like being afraid of the eclipse all over Twitter, Facebook, Instagram.
Yeah.
Like they're going to go do something. It's like, well, how about this? Maybe be an astrologer for a second and go, yeah, there's a fucking crazy eclipse. So whether they said it or not, something crazy is going to happen anyway.
Yeah.
You can't control that.
Yeah.
It's about how you go up there and look at these things. And I don't know, people are so terrified now that they won't live their lives and be themselves. I know that. I mean, I'm sure you could see with Sophia and I having Aurora, like we just take Aurora everywhere. Like I don't see babies going around anymore like that. to places and staying at a hotel or walking into the casino or, you know what I mean? Like people are so, gosh, they're already in a pod.
Yeah.
They're a walking pod.
Yeah.
And that's what's scary is the walking pod, and they're afraid of, you know, and that's what's sad is most young kids today are afraid to walk without a phone. Or mom is too afraid to, if my kid doesn't have a phone, to get a hold of me in case there's a problem. Well, maybe that's the problem.
Yeah, and I think people are going to be afraid to look at the eclipse without glasses. You know, during I don't know if we talked about this or not. I don't think we talked about this on a show. During the 2017 eclipse, that's when I very first started attending that mind mastery school. And remember, the founder and teacher of the mind mastery school was a former NASA scientist. And he was telling everybody, don't fucking wear glasses. Look at the damn eclipse. He said he's also a pilot. He says, I'm a pilot. I fly airplanes, and I'm an author. So sometimes I'm sitting at home writing a book, staring at a screen for 12 straight hours, and my vision gets hazy and blurry. So what I do, I go outside midday and look straight into the sun, and it straightens my eyes out. They don't want you to know how powerful the sun is in a good way.
Right.
And I remember when the eclipse was over, he said, okay, now, how many of you had the nerve to look at the eclipse without the glasses on? And you're fine, right? You're just fine. And that's right. That because they're trying to pump that fear into you. Now, I don't know exactly what it is about the eclipse that they want you to believe. They don't want you looking at it because it
or being by it.
Yeah. Yeah, they're telling everybody don't travel. Don't travel, don't go anywhere. So they don't even want people to travel to go see it. Because there's some kind of power in that damn thing that they don't want you to know about. But all I'm going to say is I don't care what you say. I don't care. This may be very controversial. You know, I may catch a lot of hate for this. I don't care. Travel to the damn spot of the eclipse and look at that motherfucker without no glasses on. I dare you. I'm going to. I'm going to take video of me doing it too.
I'll take video of you doing it too. Fucking, I mean, yeah. And that's where I think we have to remember, I don't know how many thousands of years humans have been here, but it's a fucking lot at this point. Tens of thousands. Do you think they had glasses on? No, they didn't. Or how many ceremonies and positive ones too. I'm not talking about fucking weird shit that you're seeing out there. Are all based around lunation cycles. And so like, I just feel like this is definitely weird though, because eclipses definitely have a weird, beyond weird connection point to this reality. And they don't want you to see through the real moment that the reality changes. The eclipse, if it's total, it's gonna shift the chapters. But in this case, this is like a new book coming in. That might scare every fucking Christian attached to their Bible. Because that new book, especially in Aries, it's a new book. And so, you know, it's even weirder that the lunar eclipse on Monday, we didn't have a South Node Libra lunar eclipse 19 years ago. The last one was in 1987. That's going to be here on Monday. The last time that we had the exact same eclipse at the same degree was in 1633 on March 25th. Just March 25th is coming. And that was the year Galileo was called a heretic by the church for saying that the Earth's round from his studies. And that was weird because he did his studies in 1610 through 1613. So 20 years later, he's a heretic now. There's going to be a lot of heresy being thrown around from this eclipse. The Christian community is about to go off. I warned all of High Vibe last night. I said, this is the beginning of the spiritual war on the planet, and it's not from the dark or the light. It's from religious institutions coming after the spiritual people. And I've put this warning out for many years, and you've been seeing it steadily happening. This is that cross point where it's going to get crazy. So that's where it's going to feel weird, because you're going to have family members or friends or cousins or people that are going to start being like, you're into that? Like, I can't associate with you. It's like the shot. You don't have the shot, you can't come over. You don't have a fucking Jesus cross on. I don't know if I want to see you. I know people think I'm crazy the same way that I said that fucking there's going to be a virus, a plague that's going to come and all this shit. And people were like, what? And it's going to be used against you and all that shit. This is me already giving that warning right now. That doing the work in the spiritual community is going to be, that's going to be the new anti-vaxxer, right? Is the anti-religion person. Which, of course, is just another regurgitated story. That the irony is it comes back to the same story of the universe. Like, so it's not that religion's bad. It's okay to not find the same connection without that version of the story and how it's done. You don't have to do it that way.
There's many paths to the light.
Exactly.
Yeah, and again, it's going to come down to the same thing. Your integrity. Your ability to not give a fuck what other people think about you is going to be so important, just like it was in 2020.
Yeah.
I don't care if you want to call me a crazy conspiracy theorist. I don't care if you want to call me a narcissistic asshole because I don't want to wear a mask. I don't care. Call me what you want. I don't give a fuck. I'm not wearing this fucking mask. I'm not suffocating myself. And I'm not, or am I allowing my wife or my kids to get injected with that fucking poison? Call me what you want. I don't care. It's going to be the same thing this time around. I don't care what you want to call me. I don't care if you want to call me a witch or a Satan worshiper or whatever. Call me what you want. I don't care. It's going to be the same thing. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I agree. It's the same. I think we have to get to a place where it's like, if you believe in a divine creator, fucking however you get there, it's cool. That's exactly how the country was founded by Freemasons. The idea of Freemasonry was we all come together and we all believe in a divine creator, and you pull your religion out of this. That we all see each other as equal, that we believe in a divine creator. Period. That's the original Freemason, not the new Freemason that turned into fucking a weird cult thing. The original Freemasons. And so we're at a weird moment here where, you know, to be a Freemason in reality would be the way to be, even though that's what they're telling you not to be. They're making you become afraid of that. But if you understood the teachings of it, or Rosicrucianism, you'd be like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. So it's like that right now, people are like judging like, oh, well, you don't believe in Christ. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, well, what do you mean? I believe in God. Like, you know, oh, but you got to go through Christ. It's like, well, fuck, man. I didn't know that was the only fucking water slide at this whole fucking water park. I didn't know that I had to go on the kiddie ride at Disneyland in order to be anointed as being at Disneyland. Thought I was allowed to go on other rides too. I didn't know I had to go on this one ride and I had to sit in this one seat and I had to fucking recite this stupid thing that the person at Disneyland is telling me to do. Like, say sedimentados, por favor. Like, remain seated, please. You know, like, no, like I don't have to be regurgitating what the person at Disneyland's telling me when I'm on the ride. Remain seated, please. Say sedimentados, por favor.
Yeah.
And that's what it is, because it's a repetitive. And one thing about religion you see, especially if you go to a Catholic church, is the repetition.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what is that? That's mind control. That's fucking indoctrination to get you to always be like, please sit, please rise, fucking up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. And then you hear people, it's like, if you don't know what the fucking in thing is to say fucking in between things, they already spot you out.
Yeah, and I grew up in a Christian household, so that's why to me it's kind of frustrating, because I know how these people think. If you say anything that makes sense, that's the devil. If you bring any logic to the table, that's the devil trying to deceive you. Like that's their default go-to when it comes to anything. If you bring any kind of idea to the table, that's the devil. I mean, that's their default go-to. Like, now we live in a time where all of the ancient texts that the Bible was written from is available for anybody to go download and translate that wants to. But that's the devil trying to deceive you. Like, that's their go-to. So it's like there's no talking to these people. You can't tell them anything. You can't introduce a new idea to them. You can't get them to ask any questions, because the devil, the Satan trying to deceive you, is their go-to. Fucking people who have near-death experiences and talk to angels and beings on the other side. Christians even say that's the devil pretending to be an angel to deceive you. That's their go-to when it comes to anything. So that's the crazy part about it is, if you're on an awakening path, trying to wake somebody up who is trapped in that religious dogma is like the biggest waste of your energy. Such a waste of energy. You're not going to convince them to go look for the truth. It's just a losing battle. It's frustrating as hell.
So I saw on Twitter this weekend some OnlyFans girl who was in the top 0.01% was on one of those podcasts where those guys get all those like kind of OnlyFans chicks on. They like fucking tell them they're being fucking stupid.
Yeah.
And she finally, I guess, had her realization and became a Christian, and she deleted her OnlyFans, and she made a big message saying that 2020 came and all that shit, and that the devil came to give her everything that she wanted. And really it was unhappy. And so she moved to Christ, but it's like, and then all I read in the comments is like, we're winning. And what's interesting is you see in the light worker community, nobody stepping up saying, I'm going to go be a light worker, right? You just see everybody, I'm ending my light working journey. I'm going to become a Christian now.
Yeah.
And the indoctrination into that too is like, I'm waiting to be saved, and I'm going to be saved and go to heaven, and everybody else who doesn't do this is not going to. They're going to just go to hell. So it's a really weird thing too, because it's now the new trend, because obviously we don't know the stats of this girl, but probably she was slipping. Maybe she got tired of having sex on camera or doing masturbation videos constantly, whatever. I don't know what she does, or maybe the dude that used to do the sex scenes with her fucking finally dumped her. She thought that was the devil or something. But whatever it was, there was other people in there like, this bitch is just trying to get all these new fan base to go to whatever she's doing next. Because now it's about her new business of being a Christian. And that's what you're seeing in all the spiritual community. It's a business now. Like, oh yeah, I'm Christ. And like that one tarot card reader, like, yeah, I'm Catholic now. And And if you want to find out more, and I'm like, it was weird. This guy had so many crosses in his house. I was like, that guy went to like every like local city and bought every cross that he could and just like put it up and like just to look. It's like an over glorification.
Yeah.
That's the astrology is saying the heresy is coming. And I know people don't believe it yet, but they already cut the ads for tarot and astrology, right? Off all the social media platforms. So that's what they're coming for next. You're a heretic. You went to the eclipse. Even though the irony is, what are you seeing all over the internet right now? Everybody trying to connect the eclipse to the fucking Bible.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, it's going through these towns, right? What is it called again? Nevada or whatever?
Nineveh.
Yeah. Oh, but the other ones, they were connected to fucking Salem. Or I forgot what other name cities and all the cities through these counties. These people are fucking not doing the astrology right at all. Like they're not seeing the point at all of it all. And that's what's really sad is like they're really going to get lost down this road because they think that this eclipse is here to take them, which is just like the people who felt like they were going to get taken away by a comet back in the late 90s. Heaven's Gate.
Yeah.
Right? And nobody's calling it out right now. Like everybody's right now, it's not just like a household full of people that are going to drink some Kool-Aid and fucking put on, I think it was Reeboks. They dressed all in Reeboks or something weird like that. And they all went into their beds and drank the fucking Kool-Aid and died.
Yeah.
Right? And the fucking Heaven's Gate took them, right?
Yeah.
Now you're seeing just a bunch of TikTokers, Instagrammers, everybody just being like, Nevada. You know, like Nevena's Gate, right? And like, I'm going to go take your fentanyl, put on your fucking, I don't know, your Air Jordans, put fucking, you know, you better have an iPhone with TikTok recording it and go lay in your bed, hit the Fetty and go to Nevena's Gate, you know?
What are they going to do when nothing happens? You know, what are they going to do when you know, the rapture doesn't happen? What are they going to do? What is there going to be a?
I mean, that's where they go into the age of Aquarius and start to trip the fuck out, right? Because again, at the end of an age, it feels like the end, and it's always the end of a religion, right? So, end of age of Aries was the end of everybody following the Roman way of paganistic aspects, and also was Judaism and the original Judaism, right? Judaism's very small now, right? And so some people will hold on to it, but the fact that you always look at what's the biggest thing, it was Christianity through age of Pisces, when all of the things, and that does connect to Judaism, that does connect to even everything happening with Islamic and different parts of Islam. Guess what? They're all it's gonna be, you know, people are afraid of having a different view of what religion is, that it's much more about like, hey, we're humans and we're connected to a God, and these stories are great. They might teach us things like about morality and so forth, but there's other ways to do this. It's the actions we take. I mean, let's not forget that Bible says it's okay to be a slave and it's okay to treat your slaves this way. Mm-hmm. So, you know, it's like, or it's okay to treat, you know, a woman this way, or especially if you go in the Middle East, like that's part of the religion is like, no, wear your fucking hijab, wear your fucking, you know, you can't show, my wife can't show her face. And people are backing this right now, like free Palestine, let people be oppressed. Like, people should be able to go around and kill people. And so, you know, and that's where the whole religion thing is about to get crazy, is because you can see it's contradictory, right? To pick a side on that, right? Because it's like you're picking a religion, and then what's going to happen now is that it's going to get so crazy that they're going to blame it all on people who aren't religious. That we're the ones that are the devils here.
Do you think people will be able to wake up and see? Like, because that's the whole thing. The whole thing is the Great Awakening. So, like I said, it's going to get messy. I still feel like, I'm not saying that I don't believe any of that's going to happen, but I think that, you know, in the end of it all, people are going to be able to see, whoa, this is fucked up. So through all these cycles of ages coming and going and empires rising and falling and whatnot, I think this will probably be one of the very first times that the humans actually break out of their own psychological slavery and see, whoa, this is fucked up. And if you pay attention, I think that they've kind of been, in a way, warming us up to that subsequently. While the dark side is trying to groom us into fear, the light side has been allowing it to happen. Because if you pay attention from that perspective, every little shit show that they throw, like, for example, the race war. Remember when it started out with the race war with George Floyd, you know? And that hit real hard, and there was a lot of racial tension for a while. And then everybody wised up and is like, okay, this is stupid. You know, let's just be cool. I don't hate you, you don't hate me, we're good, you know? And then what was it after that? Women, something about women, or then gay people, you know, and then the trans movement. And, you know, they do these things, and then people are starting to wise up and see it like, okay, this is kind of dumb. Have you noticed that the trans thing is kind of starting to die off now?
Well, yeah, I mean, but again, these are all things that religion are against. So actually, I think they put it out to make people super fall to the drug of religion more. Because now if you see this whole financial thing, if you go to the US debt clock, it's all based off Christianity. Like the new financial system is based off Christianity. It's crazy. It's got the fucking fish. It's got the old Roman way of saying Christ that lives. And it's all based off Christianity. So again, that's where I'm like, the Q movement's all based off Christianity. And that's what scares me, is like, it was a way to get everybody to feel like, because religion's a powerful thing for people because it's embedded in your ancestry for thousands and thousands of years, that it's super easy to tap into your ancestral line that way and be like, oh, okay, yeah, like that's naturally programmed in me. Mm-hmm. That's the hardest program to get off of. If you want to be trans, you want to be trans, whatever, right? Of course, in the Bible, if you're gay, like that's fucking not cool, even though King James, who wrote a Bible that most people converted to a New Testament today, was gay himself and wrote that shit. And he didn't write it himself. He had other people write it, right? Because he had to maintain his kingdom, and he was the king of England and Scotland. So, you know, we are watching everybody actually look at this stuff to get people to jump to a fucking trap. Pisces is traps. People don't realize that religions and dogmas are traps. Because once you jump into that, it's like, you're not wearing a certain dress on a Sunday. You chose to go have breakfast. You didn't go to church on a Sunday. Like, it starts to, we're going to live in a world to where, is that where they're going to start shaping politics? Is that where they're going to start shaping life to be the end of age of Pisces is like a trap? Like, you're not wearing, a suit. You're not wearing a nice shirt. Like, you didn't get your hair cut. You have to remember that this is also the same lunar eclipse on Monday that back in 136 AD brought on, when the Pope at the time, the beginnings of the whole Christian movement, he was the 11th or 12th Pope. They don't know. That's how hard the info is. But what is known, it was the beginning of that no priest could have long hair. Which I think is interesting, since supposedly Jesus had long hair, right?
Yeah.
But that's what's funny, is like, you're not allowed to have long hair in the true understanding of Christianity as a man.
Yeah.
So that's why they also go after spiritual people, right? That they see if a guy has long hair. Or the hippie movement. The hippie movement was triggered off the subconscious of Christians that were like, look at these people growing their hair out.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that, because I just saw a video and read an article about how they did a study about people with long hair, and that supposedly your hair is an extension of your nervous system. And they did like this experiment where they studied like a Hopi Indian tribe, and when it came to their intuition and their ability to have like a built-in GPS and whatnot and be connected with nature, the people with long hair had a much, much sharper sixth sense than the people with the military style haircuts. So I'm wondering if that has something to do with their programming to dumb down the masculine and make it toxic. And because, typically, very frequently, a lot of men are not very intuitive. They're pretty much programmed to be very, very simple, stupid-minded, drink a beer and watch the race and yeehaw, and like that idiot shit. Right. Like that's what they've been making the masculine for so many years. And you have to cut your hair off, cut your hair short. That's why I think it's a lot easier for a woman to be intuitive, and that may have something to do with it, I wonder. Does that make sense? I would agree with that. Although, if you look at like the times, the other eclipse that was exactly this one was 1280 during the times right before the Knights Templar fell. The Knights Templar were all knights from around the different, countries and continents that were all Christian that came together to fight for the Holy Land, and the Catholic Church funded them. But they were really just tour guides to help rich, wealthy Christians go to the Holy Land. Like, protect these rich people, protect this pope, protect this bishop and his family. And they would have to buy tickets. It was like Disneyland 800 years ago to go to the Holy Land. Like, you bought a ticket from the fucking Catholic Church. What was crazy, though, is when they killed all the fucking Knights Templar, they all had long hair, right? Because in all the priests and all the bishops, they had short hair. It was like they looked at you as like fucking stupid. Like, oh, you fought for us, thanks. So yeah, I agree with you on the science of it, the spirituality of it, but there was a subconscious thing built within Christianity that's still here to this day,
where if you have long hair, that's wrong. And it was all based off the eclipse that's about to happen on Monday back in 136 AD by a pope that had put that out, that anybody that's part of the church must not have long hair as a man. And so have you ever seen a pope with long hair? Have you ever seen a bishop with long hair? They all cut their hair, right?
So just for like no reason? Like,
I think a lot of it has to do with being able to see again who's Christian and who's not. That's why the hippie movement triggered in the 60s Christians. So it was like the battle of the whiskey drinking, as Timothy Leary would put it, the whiskey drinking politician, upset and angry, who hates his wife and hates his life, but he's Christian. Because that's the other thing, is if you notice, Christians are the highest drinking of the part of the population.
oh, really?
Uh-huh. So, you know, whether it's wine to alcohol. But the funny part is you look at it as like anybody who has long hair who's a man, you know, it's kind of like Braveheart, right? Like, because if you're taking down the English crown, that English crown was connected to the Catholic Church. So that's a bad person. So, and that was also the time of William Wallace. And that's what's interesting about Braveheart, is the idea to be free was even about the hair, or why in Braveheart even, why does William Wallace keep the hair of his wife who they killed? There was something about holding on to the hair. Now, this is probably why Catholic priests and popes like little boys, because they can't grow a lot of hair yet.
I don't know, man. But I do,
and
like
that's the religion people are fucking tripping on. Like, yeah, I'm gonna be saved.
Yeah, I still hold the firm belief, though, that eventually, at some point in the next 20 years, somewhere within, I'm not saying it's going to take 20 years. It may, I don't know, but at some point between now and the next 20 to 30 years, I don't think it's going to work. I think they're going to try that. I think they're going to try their damnedest. But I just think too many people are waking up. It's getting to the point where there's going to be too many people rise up and say, no, fuck that. And it's going to fail. It's not going to work.
Well, and I'm here to tell you that, yeah, there's going to be a wake up, but it's happening through this idea of Christianity, because all the right wing, all the truth channels are all based off Christianity. And now they're doing the following thing. Like, I got to come out and say, yeah, I'm a Christian. Even Jordan Peterson out of nowhere. He's talking about Christ and the Bible and mixing it with the psychology, right? You go to all these channels, they're all based off religion now, and they all have to say something about Christ, right? You even go to Alex Jones and he's bringing it up, but at least he's a little bit more off the cuff with it and says, well, maybe the people that wrote the Bible were just psychics that were able to see into the future really well, right? Like, that's more of the actual truth. But the truth is that a lot of people are going to wake up through these other channels that are fucking pushing Christianity, and they're all going to get into that bed over the next year. And then what's going to happen is they're all going to be promised, like Harold Camping in 2011, that May 21st, 2011, the redemption's coming and it's all happening and the fucking Revelations is going to happen and all that, and it didn't happen. And then, you know, they're going to be told, because it's going to look like, so people are worried about an alien event. I'm worried about them using a fucking fake Christ coming down from the fucking clouds.
They probably will.
Right? Because that's going to be the false awakening. And then what is that going to do? Everybody's going to fucking feel like they were hosed by the people who were bringing out truth. And then they're going to have the other side be like, see, we told you. And they're going to be the ones who don't even believe in God. And come to us, we were right the whole time. Yeah. So that's a scary back and forth kind of weird dark. The dark is on both those sides. It's always the Trinity, this higher force that you need to see through both sides here. Yeah. Because they just pushed everybody that was unconscious to the left for years, and now they're using all this stuff to push everybody to the right. But they're basing it off like, well, are you Christian? Right? They even made Donald Trump do the whole Christian thing. He's not fucking Christian.
What is he?
He was just a fucking like me or you. Like, a dude who was just fucking doing his thing and fucking, you know, when he ran for president, it was like, oh, this guy's not Christian enough. Remember, they asked him, like, what's your favorite part of the Bible? Are you New Testament or Old Testament? And he's like, I like both. and then they were like, tell us what part you like. He's like, I don't know. I just like both. He didn't know what to say, right? Or when he held the Bible up, fucking when all the BLM protesters just came to the White House and tried to destroy it, and he went out there, I'm not afraid, and he held the Bible upside down, right? Like, it was like he didn't even know what he was, right? He didn't.
Yeah.
And when he stood in front of Trinity Church, that was right. Our Trinity Church is in New York, but the church, it might be Trinity Church in Washington too. But yeah, and it was like that's where you have to see, like, even Trump today, like. He's just saying it, or they have people go pray for him, right? And you always just see him like, oh, okay. But you don't see Trump praying. You don't see Trump say a prayer, right? But that's the calling card now. And so we have to look at that as your vaccine card. If you fell for that, is the same as your calling card to Christianity, or in the other side, it's Palestinian. Mm-hmm. Right? And that's what's kind of scary if you're in Israel right now, or if you're Jewish. The same events astrologically are happening that took out the Jews, right? And so nobody should be getting rid about any religion right now. But we should be also aware that you don't need to be wearing the calling card to be accepted, or that that's the way to be saved. People are allowed to do whatever they want. They're allowed to believe whatever they want, but the end of the age of Pisces here, with all these Pisces planets, that's the hard part, is Saturn, Neptune will miss Pisces and meet up in Aries. And the last time that happened at 0 degrees was when Babylon happened, which is the number one fear of Christianity. So they're about to watch what they are most afraid of. The exact astrology is happening. They can't stop it because it's not some devil force that's making it happen. If anything, it's the devil hidden in Christianity, and the darkness and the death and the abuse that's happened to the religions, on all the religions for 2,000 years, which is the wake up.
Yeah, it is the devil hidden in Christianity. And that's, I'll go ahead and say it again, man. Billy Carson, dude, he can break it down and explain it, bring all the fucking receipts to prove it. You know, that the person that they're talking about being God in the Bible, if you was to call any of them a devil, it would have been him. Yahweh, Jehovah was the real devil. And in the Bible, the person they're referring to as the devil or Satan, if any of them was to be a real savior, again, there is no savior, there is no devil, but the roles are reversed. The one that they're trying to get you to believe is the devil, Lucifer, right. You know, enlightened. He was trying to enlighten the people and tell them, yo, you know, y'all are fucking more powerful than we are, right? You know that, right? So that pissed him off. And he said, oh, he's trying to deceive you. That's the devil. Don't listen to him. He's trying to deceive you. So that even 200,000 years later is playing out today. Anytime any of us try to tell somebody, you know how powerful you are, right? You know that you have the power to tap into, oh, that's the devil. That's the devil. God doesn't want you. Like, do you really believe that this creator of the universe is so stupid that he made you powerful enough to tap in to a higher consciousness and then punish you for doing it? And that's what they believe. It's playing itself out 200,000 years later. And the receipts are all available for anybody to go look up. And
I know.
It's all there for anybody to go download it, translate it, read it, compare the fucking ancient text to the Bible, and you can see for yourself. You can do it. You don't have to go pay anything. You don't have to. All you have to do is go look for yourself, and it's all right there. And I think that's gonna become more and more and more prevalent as things go on. But like you were saying, what you were talking about, that has to be exposed. That, you know, they're gonna feel like it was a fraud because it has to be exposed. In the Great Awakening, the way people are awakening is not pretty. They're going to have to get suckered into something. And then they're going to have to be shown that they were lied to. And they're going to have to be let down. It's not going to be fun. They're going to have to see for themselves that I was lied to. I was conned. So. Right.
And then that's what's weird is then you're seeing that it's through this Christian movement in America and in Europe right now that the awakening is through, that you were conned by this dark side and we're your savior, right? And if we are going to use revelations, anybody who's saying that they're going to save you is the people not to listen to, right? Because at the end, with especially what the astrologers would have looked at when they did write the Bible, because they did write it, they were all converted into new priests under Constantine in 325, all the Magi, that they were warning people when the age of Aquarius comes, it's going to be the people we save ourselves. Mm-hmm. Right? It's not going to be, sorry, there is no fucking illusionary dude that's going to just pop up and one guy is going to save the whole world. Right? Like, that's not going to happen. And I think that's the hard part, is that now you're seeing the debt clock is all based off Christianity. The whole new financial system is based off Christianity. The whole new everything is based off Christianity, right? So it's like the calling card that, oh, well, that's going to save us. That's going to save us. And none of that's going to happen. And that's what's sad.
Actually, I wonder, I don't know this for sure, but I wonder if the real new financial system is going to be based off Christianity, or if...
That's what just came out this weekend.
Or is that going to be the CBDC, or CBDB, whatever the fuck, central bank digital currency? Is that what's going to be Christianity? I wonder.
I mean, they're saying that the whole debt system has all been the dark devil, and that the new system that's being put in is from Christ. And that's what all the truth channels are all putting out. And they're all fucking everybody's afraid if they don't say Christ that they're fucked.
Well, I have a funny feeling that it's going to be the central bank digital currency that's the based on Christianity, because they're going to roll that out first. They have to. I can't beat this drum enough. We have to stand up. We have to fight back. We have to reject it. They're going to roll out the CBDC, and we have to reject it. We have to. Nobody's going to save us. It's not going to be as easy as the financial system collapses and then a new one is, and you're going to have this, you're just going to be handed this new bank account with all this money in it. It's not going to happen overnight like that. Now, that is going to happen over a period of time. It's going to be a fucked up, messy situation, but they're going to roll out the CBDC first, and we have to reject it. And I could be wrong on this, but I have a funny feeling that that's what's based on Christianity. I have a feeling. Don't quote me on that. I could be wrong, and I'll gladly take it on the chin if I am wrong. But that's kind of what my intuition is leading me towards.
Yeah, I mean, especially if they come out and say, well, the tokens have Christ on them. Yeah. Digitally. How many digital Christ coins do you have? Right? The DCC, digital Christ coin. Yeah. Right? Like, did you pay your penance? That's what's... To me, I think the hard part of this matrix breaking is the matrix that we all got brought into. The fabric of those main codes are all based off these dogmatic religious aspects. So if we really want to break the matrix, then you have to be willing to break that and not have all these fears that you're not going to go. Because basically the idea of heaven is that it's a good place. In yourself if you're going to a good place by being a good person. Like, that, it's pretty simple. It's not that fucking crazy. But that's what's hard. Is that's where we're like, you also hear like don't say the Lord's name in vain, right?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, why is it that people who, let's say, cuss, and they may not be cussing at God, just cuss, are known psychologically to be the most honest people, mm-hmm. right? So you have a bunch of people who are really straitjacketed.
Yeah.
And the craziness is, no, there's a guy coming from the sky. He's going to save me. and that's the whole Q movement, the whole truth communities move that direction. And that's why they won't have people like you and I on those big podcasts, because we're not Christians. And that's where you can already start to see, and that's why I think it's funny, all these truth fucking movements now on X or whatever, they're all, even the weirdest people on there, they're all having to fucking put their calling card of Christianity around it. And that's actually what Hitler did. Right? So we're seeing the same astrology, and we're seeing the same, you know, kind of movement that brought on Hitler. Right? Like, and that's what's scary. It's like they intentionally did all the stuff we just talked about, trans movement, all that shit. That's exactly what happened in Germany. And then it was getting rid of all that was what brought Hitler into power. So when I see it happening with the same placement, the same astrology at the same time, we all have to wake up at this moment. That's why, like, you know, politically, it's hard, you know, everybody's all again, and then you see the same thing. Everybody's like, go after Israel. Everybody that's Israeli is everybody from Israel. Everybody who's a Zionist, they're the ones that are ruling the world. It's like, that's exactly what Hitler said.
Yeah.
So, and then that did not turn out well. That turned into fucking him killing not just Jews, but other people too. And then fucking as many people as he could around the world to make everybody the one new race. But it's not going to be race anymore. It's going to be the one religion. Because Christians are pissed they lost the Holy Land. You know? And that they believe that they have a Messiah. We have to remember that, right? The Islamics, you know, the Muslims do too. Muhammad. But the Jews don't. So that's a conflict of interest on all three. And at least the Muslims and the Jews have territorial aspects and access to stuff. The Christians don't. So this is why you see all this weird stuff about playing with people's minds, and then also creating on both sides this go after Israel, because they want to take that out and they want to go, and then they want it to just be a two-way fight, not a three-way fight. That's scary too, because that's exactly what happened, and that's why that area was owned by the king at the time, and then Queen Elizabeth, and then during World War II, it was like, all right, let's give this to the Zionists and so forth. It's all going to be inverted now, and that's what's scary. And I can understand why Jewish people are scared. I can understand why anybody would be scared that's not Christian or Muslim. To be honest with you, those are the two religions that scare me the most. I'm not scared of what's happening from Jews. Most Jews are just living their old tradition, although that's the tradition that brought upon Christianity, and even in their Bibles is the Old Testament. So they live those stories and they believe in those stories too. So it's going to be, I think, hard for Christians to watch somebody like a Hitler come out and say, no, kill the Jews again. But they did. All the Christians watched it just 80 plus years ago. That's what's scary.
And everybody watched it over the past few years.
Yeah, I know. So
yeah, that made what Hitler did look like fucking child's play.
I know.
I mean, the amount of deaths that happened and are still happening blew that shit out of the water. So,
right. I mean, every day, if you just follow died suddenly, just like, they have the receipts too. They show the Facebook, like, promoting, yeah, I got the vax, and then boom, 38 dead, 12 dead, 22 dead. And we're going into year 3 that the shot came out. So it's like, you know, like these people all at 3 years, just like dropping dead. And it's happening so much that it's not in people's consciousness. Or the Pope himself, you know, was against anti-vaxxers, right? The church, right? And then even in Israel, everybody had to get the shot. Right. So it's like, I think everybody's looking way too, oh, who's the one behind all this shit? It must be the people in Israel. Or it's like, it's all this whole thing to try and get the power of another side that you're not looking at, that's really trying to, you know, this is where backdoor deals go wrong. Hitler made deals with Stalin to go into fucking Poland and made everybody believe go against the Jews. And then what did he do? He turned on fucking Stalin. So what is America or Christian nations going to do? Oh yeah, I guess, yeah, fucking look at Israel doing bad things to Palestine when they're working with fucking the Middle East and Saudi Arabia and all these countries. And then they're like, and then they'll turn on them.
It's the people.
It's fucking crazy.
If you're going to blame anybody, it's the people who buy into it. Like at the end of the day, if you back away from it all and look at it, I'm not even mad at the people doing the manipulating. I'm not even worried about that. It's the people who bought into it.
I know.
I was saying a minute ago, you're the one who gets to choose how you respond to anything. When the news tells you that somebody got killed in a car accident 3,000 miles away from your house, you're the one that chooses how you respond to that. Whenever somebody shames you and calls you a narcissistic asshole because you're not going to wear a mask, you're the one that chooses how you respond to that.
Right.
So, like, who's behind it all? The collective who bought into it.
I know.
That's how simple it is. That's why awakening is so important.
Yeah, and I think letting go of a matrix is not as easy as people think. There's too many embedded things that, you could think you're ready, but I think for people who do light work, it's a lot easier because we already had to go through that, like, programmed fears for so long to where I don't even think about it anymore. I don't even care if people fucking think I'm the devil.
Yeah.
People, whatever. Because, people don't want to talk about this. They don't want to look at this. They don't want to realize, in Hitler's, Germany, like a bunch of Christians watched, it was Christians that watched the Jews die. It was the Pope that helped Hitler. And who's the Pope helping now? Oh, again, he's helping Nazis in Ukraine. Right? So, it's kind of like, oh, okay, all right. Like, we have to start looking at all this. Or why is the Pope not really standing behind Israel? Like, oh, okay, I see what you want. People think it's going to be the Middle East. It's going to be Christians that come in. And, that's where it would be scary to be Jewish right now. Because it would be like, it looks like it's Free Palestine, but you're seeing Christians joining Free Palestine. You're seeing a Catholic president joining the other side right now. There's no coincidence that they would purposely rig an election to put a Catholic in. Nobody talks about that either. Like, only 2 Catholic presidents, JFK and fucking Biden. Or even the archdiocese of fucking America, fucking that represents America of the fucking church, said that Biden shouldn't be able to go to communion because of the shit show that he is and supporting abortion and all this kind of crazy shit. And then the fucking Pope overruled it. Like, no, I don't care. Right? So how much does that religion in total actually care about what they fucking do? They don't. Right? Or why is it that like every Christian Nashville idea is like, yeah, I'm Christian on Sunday, but then, I'm down to sing about drinking whiskey and hooking up with some girl with the cowgirl hat on, getting drunk and,
that's kind of,
what I mean? And being on cowgirl Tinder. I don't know. Somebody's got to create that for this whole movement. I bet you what was it like? Christian singles is going to be popping. Yeah. It won't be Bumble. It won't be Tinder. It'll be Christian singles. And you watch next year, Christian singles will be the #1 fucking dating thing. You're going to watch mass conversion. And that's why at the end of the day, it's really hard because, part of breaking the matrix, like I like Trump. I'm a Republican, but I'm not going to pick any of those sides. If anything, I'm going to pick the middle. I'm going to pick like RFK, who's spiritual. He's not religious. He used to be Catholic. He meditates now. It's just like, I can't, because I already know Trump's going to help all these other people bring this whole Christian kind of craziness in. And that's how you're going to watch his fucking VP pick is going to be super fucking Christian. That's why he said no to Vivek Ramaswamy last week. He said, you're not going to be VP. It's like, oh, because he's Hindu. They didn't say that. But they have to pick ultra Christian. Like, who was Vice President Pence? Ultra Christian. that helped him get the Christian vote, they're going to pick ultra-Christian because Trump can't be ultra-Christian. That's how you have to wake up right now, right? And then you have a Catholic president who's super Catholic and he never talks about God. He doesn't even say God bless America either. You always hear that? He's the only president to not say that after every speech. He always goes, God bless our troops. So that's where I think the awakening experience is at a crazy point, because I think people have to start looking at it in a whole new way. If I were to tell anybody through the astrology as an astrologer, look at the history of how Hitler came to power, especially in like what he was doing in 1935 through 39, like, and how that whole movement came, because that's what's happening right now. And I'm not saying that Hitler's going to be coming through Trump, but it's more the lackeys through that, mixed with the Democrats wanting to do it and look better in a new Newsom style, like middle of the road Democrat thing, which is like carpetbaggers, or in the old days of expression of during the Civil War times. But, you know, and that was the crazy part, was the South believed, the whole part of the South seceding was they believed that God had told them that they were the best for the slaves, that they gave the slaves a better life than they could have. And it was about the lifestyle. And they actually, General Lee and all of his, right now we're in the same astrology as General Lee writing in his fucking diaries to God and his reasons of why the Bible and God made it to where we give a better life to slaves. That's how I think about the shot. All the churches tell you to get it, all that shit, right? Like, it's fucking crazy. I mean, to be honest with you, it's crazy town. We live in crazy town right now. People go into a building and believe that some dude fucking is up there fucking gonna come down you and save you. And not give the power to God and call Christ, that's the way through God. That's what makes no sense, right? It's like, okay, so that was the debate of 325 AD, was at the Council of Nicaea, was like, how can you go and believe in God, but then you're putting man at the same power as God, as one person? And that was what Arian, that was his name, said, and he got banished, and that's where you get Aryan Nation from, is Hitler's version of that. Some deep shit, but people aren't ready for that. People are not ready. If you want to watch any true show, nobody will have that on. They won't say that. If you go watch any of those fucking things, they won't talk about that. They don't want to. They'll be banished, right? So being a heretic right now is going to be able to speak the truth, and people aren't going to speak the truth. They're going to join up and be like, I was on the wrong side. I'm a Christian now. And that's just going to be the same post that's going to be like the fucking vaccine card that's shot in the arm. That's all I have to say.
Yeah. It's going to be a mess. We need fucking more people who are speaking the truth to get on platforms like this. We need to get Billy Carson on this show. You know, we need to get some people who have done the real research, who can be putting the truth out there, so that it's floating around in the ether, because nobody's going to talk about it now, but this topic I think is going to be trending maybe a year and a half, 2 years from now. Then it's going to be, then that's when everybody's going to be like, oh, look, the Leo King predicted 2 years ago, you know, and then oh, wow, amazing. How'd you know? You know?
No, he was working with the Antichrist. He's not a Christian. He's fucking using astrology. You're not allowed to be able to see the future and predict. You're not allowed to be prophetic. Only the people who wrote the Bible are allowed to be prophetic. Even Nostradamus had to, in his prophecies, butt kiss Christ in order to get the message to the king, Henry II, in order to be able to have him read the prophecies or for it to get published. John Dee, same thing. In his books, he had to fucking butt kiss fucking Christ in order for Mary at the time to accept him, and especially Elizabeth. And then at the end of his reign, when Elizabeth left, and he had to say, to protect his life, he had to, after he was doing his experiments with talking to spirits and using obsidian with Edward Kelly, he had to fucking do an apology letter and begged for his life back to James the First. So, and he had to beg for his life through Christ in letter in order for him to survive as an astrologer who was on the court of Mary and Elizabeth. So people don't think that's going to come back. Like, we're going to get to a place to where, you know, people right now are tripping out about their local city councils being all about, oh, they're trying to teach trans in schools. It's going to be flipped. It's going to be like, you're not Christian? You're a heretic, you know? I know I might sound crazy, but that's coming.
No, I don't sound crazy.
That's going to be an awakening experience. Everybody's so afraid of a FEMA camp. Imagine, you know, being locked in a church. Well, we'll be out at the eclipse if you all have the guts to do it. The tickets are cheap and there are rooms still left. Go to teamlightstore.com/events. It's coming up in the next 3 weeks. So, and we just got the layout and all that. It's going to be so badass. The room that Rich and I are going to have doing this show. You can be part of the show. We're going to have people on, talking to people. We're going to be speaking. We're going to be doing a lot. So, and we're going to be out there with the eclipse. It's going to be pretty badass. So,
yeah, it's going to be awesome, man. Can't wait. I'm hyped.
And thanks for sharing this show. And thanks for, you know, getting the word out. And whether you agree with us or not, it's all good. You know, we're all going through an awakening experience. So, much love. We'll see you all soon. Peace out.